What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 52 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr. Oh, deep breath, folks. I'm going to put myself out on a limb here with what I want to talk about today, and what I want to talk, and I'm pretty sure in my last podcast I said I didn't want to talk about the news. And this is kind of the news. I was wrong. I don't necessarily ever like to admit, hold on a second, when I've done something wrong. It's not cool, it's not fun, but you kind of have to, and I've talked about this before, you have to know that you're going to be wrong every now and then, some more than others, sometimes your life. I mean, how are you going to know to do something if you don't try it and fail at it and learn from it and try again? In this case, I was wrong to hate Hillary Clinton. And I kind of had this disdain for her. And I wasn't sure why. I just did. A lot of what I've been going through in the past, probably say since hitting 40, is realizing that I was following a crowd. And I was just doing things because other people did. Especially when it came to how I treated other people, specifically women, but actually all the protected classes. And a lot of it comes from my background in the military. Oh my God, it's getting hot in here already. Anyways, I was not a fan of Hillary Clinton. I hated her. And in the 2016 election, I thought, I wish I had a bumper sticker, or I think I saw a bumper sticker that said, neither of those fuckers, 2016. Like, I wouldn't vote for either one. And I didn't vote in 2016. And I don't know who I would vote for if I did vote. I equally disliked both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And when I post anti-Trump stuff, or when I say anything against Donald Trump, people always assumed, people always called me out for liking Hillary. And I wanted to I always try to specify, like, I don't like Hillary Clinton either. And I don't think she would have been a better alternative. And this is what I used to say. So, fuck off. I have a right to not like Donald Trump. And I don't even care, regardless of what you think about what I think of Hillary Clinton. That doesn't matter. I never really got into all that but people always assumed that I was a Hillary Clinton fan when I posted anti-Trump stuff. And they were wrong, because I disliked Hillary Clinton just a little bit less than I disliked Donald Trump. And I did not vote, and I wouldn't know who I would vote for. Even if I did vote, I had just become a Colorado resident. I didn't have time to register. I don't know. There was some bullshit excuse. I don't care. A friend of mine felt so conflicted that he voted for a third party. He didn't even know the guy. He just voted for that person. Call that a wasted vote? I don't know. My point is that I disliked Hillary Clinton just as much as any conservative Republican, blah, blah, blah. And I do not know why. So just a few weeks ago, Hillary Clinton, Hillary, like she's my friend. Hillary Clinton was on Howard Stern. And it was one of those days where I drove the wife's truck to work, and was able to listen to satellite radio on my way home. So I must have caught 30 minutes. No, I must have caught about 15 minutes of the interview, the last 15 minutes of the interview. And just hearing those last few minutes, I realized that I did not know Hillary Clinton. I did not know really anything about her. And she is a genuine and real person who is not what I thought she was, or who is not what I thought she was. Howard talking to her, revealed that she was a pretty cool person, a pretty cool woman. And it kind of changed my mind in just those 15 minutes and made me wonder what the rest of the interview was like. That was the end of the interview. So for the rest of my commute, I listened to people call in, males specifically call in with the same opinion as me. And they had heard the entire interview. Their minds were blown at what they thought, who they thought Hillary Clinton was. And then to hear her just talk about life and be honest about herself, not putting on a front, because she's no longer a politician. She was just being herself, and herself is quite an awesome person. And I'm wondering, did other people know this? Is that why they voted for Hillary Clinton? Did other people know that she was a genuine, strong, independent, but also not a wife, a loving mother, a very smart person, a lawyer? Did I even know she was a lawyer? There are all kinds of things that I didn't know about Hillary Clinton until I listened to those, not just the last few minutes, but then I went back and I listened and I caught the interview a couple more times. And then before I recorded this part last week, I went and watched the entire 2.5 hour interview on YouTube so I could make sure that I didn't miss anything. So in listening to her be real, not be, I got to learn a lot about Hillary Clinton. And one of the things that I realized was, like, I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I felt like the one reason, if anything, why I did not like her, the personal reasons, the opinion I formed myself, is that she felt fake. It felt fake about her. Everything about her seemed fake. That was my own personal opinion. The other reasons why I think I hated her was because of Benghazi and the email server, right? These are reasons to hate, because she apparently committed treason and hates the United States. And being in the military, most of my adult life so far, I am kind of sensitive to how the security of the country. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit of a patriot. I served 23 years. Maybe I can call myself a patriot. So when it comes to the service to the country, protection of the country, and our troops in wars and conflicts, I am in support of the troops and the military. And so I thought she had done something wrong. So I looked. Like, I hate her because of Benghazi. I hate her because of these emails. Let's look further into it. So the Benghazi attack was unfortunate. The U.S. ambassador, was killed along with a few other people, CIA members. It's unfortunate. There's no way around it. There's no way to say that it was not an unfortunate event and that people's families and lives were affected. But how was Hillary Clinton responsible for this? What did she do that was so evil? How did she directly contribute to these pain and suffering that these family members had to go through with losing their husbands? I think it was all males that died. I'm not sure, but so some of the rumors or some of the things she's accused of is personally declining requests for increased security measures. She apparently watched the attack live and watched these men get killed and did nothing. She issued a stand down order refusing the military to respond. She personally told the military not to respond. The source, and there are other allegations, but the only source for these allegations is Fox News. They were completely made up by the anchor persons or spokespersons or whatever for Fox News. None of these allegations were confirmed, and there were 10 investigations. 6 of the 10 were held by Republican-led congressional committees. So, and they did 5 investigations, found nothing, none of these allegations to be true, and just for good measure, they're like, well, let's do one more. And even though they did another one, the 6th, they realized they still found nothing. 5 wasn't good enough. They had to do one more. So there's all these reasons why I'm supposed to hate Hillary Clinton and related to Benghazi, and none of them are true. There was a situation where, because of there could have been better security at the embassy. There could have been better security at the embassy, but it was never presented to Hillary Clinton that that it was needed. It was never an option that we need to increase security measures at the embassy, and she said no. She did not approve nor deny because the option was never given to her. Technically, she's a Secretary of State. It's other people's job under her to handle the security for this particular embassy in Benghazi. Now, that being said, somebody else fucked up. Somebody else didn't ensure that there was sufficient security at this location. But who took responsibility for it? The Secretary of State. She took full responsibility for the lapse in security, even though it was a judgment call on her subordinate, on a subordinate or subordinate team. That is called leadership. She took responsibility. She feels bad for what happens. She's taking the blame because it happened essentially under her watch. The lack of increased security. It may have never got to her desk, but she's responsible for it, and she owned up to it. She could have pointed a finger. She could have said, "I don't know. I don't know who's supposed to be responsible for it. Not me." She could have said, "Not me," but she didn't. She took responsibility for it. She felt horrible about it. She feels horrible about it. That is actually a reason to like Hillary Clinton, not to hate her. Not as far as Benghazi goes. The email server. I'm supposed to hate her because of the email server. I don't exactly know why. And I even talked to my buddy who's he's more involved in the he's involved in security for the U.S. military, and he told me, I'm like, what exactly did she do? And he's like, well, whatever she did, she used her server and exposed it, and whatever happened can have security measures. We'll be defending for decades after this. I'm like, oh, well, that's a good reason. That confirms that I hate her. And I just based it on what he said and what everybody else said. What had actually happened was she insisted on using her own email server. Maybe not the best choice to do. If you really wanted to, if you really want to work for a department and the boss says, you got to use a government email server, and this person says no, and the boss says okay, whose fault is that? I don't know. If there are rules and your employee chooses not to follow them, I would fire that employee rather than people had to have known that she chose to use her own server. People before her used their own email server. I'd imagine that it was so that she could work from home. She already had the dang thing because she used it to run her campaign, etc., etc. But whatever. Was it a bad choice? Maybe. But that's the only negative thing that came from this whole email thing. That is the worst of it. And for some reason, I'm supposed to hate her for that because she insisted on using a server that was in the basement of her home rather than store emails on a government device. Okay. But what about those deleted emails? After the fact that it was found out, I'm not 100%, I don't remember everything 100% here, but after the fact that it was found out that she had her own servers and there was all this email, they investigated and she handed over about 30,000 emails that were government related. And in the process of doing that, the service provider was told to reset the retention of emails to 60 days. I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you put something in your trash, you may have your MacBook or whatever program to hold on to it either indefinitely or for a certain amount of time. After 30 days or so, it dumps the trash and you will no longer. Now you can archive those emails, but for most of us, we just trash them and we delete them, put them in the trash, and then our email server holds on to them for a designated amount of days. I would imagine that Hillary Clinton's was set for indefinite, hold all emails. This took up a lot of space. They told the service provider to change it to 60 days. And when the tech would have done this, it would have erased 30,000 emails that were backdated before those 60 days. Problem is, the technician didn't do it, and he was told to and probably paid to. And then when there was a subpoena on the hard drive or something like that, the quote unquote, the technician had a quote unquote oh shit moment and realized that he never did the job that he was paid to do. He never reset the server for 60 days for 60-day retention. So what he ended up doing was using a free cleanup program called BleachBit, and cleaned out the hard drive or the server drive or whatever it's called. Technology bullshit. And this has been accused, or this has been what the big deal is, right? Is that what actually was, the Clintons had requested that the retention be changed to 60 days. This would have wiped out any emails, by default, any emails that were older than 60 days. That guy forgot to do it. He's the one who went back and deleted 30,000 personal emails. It was not some, and some of the accusations, one of them, which is god awful and just simply a lie, was that it was this very expensive process, and the tech just used a free free program called BleachBit. They made it that like Hillary Clinton had something to hide, and so she went and deleted his emails. It had nothing really to do with her at all. The other thing is the classified materials. Now this is where, okay, well, these are government secrets and you were not careful with them, so I hate you. So, of 30,000, these are the numbers I got. I read another article that was, had different numbers. There's very minuscule, regardless of whether I read an email that said that there were, I read something that said there were 110 or something that said there were 1,000. Look at these numbers. There were 30,000 emails that the government searched for. 110 of them, 110, not and, 110 of them had classified material. Do you understand? 110 out of 30,000 emails had classified material in them. What I want you to understand is that means that somebody went and read all these emails after the fact. They went and looked through years worth of emails, I assume. And it's like, oh, that's classified. What was said here is classified. And then scrolled some more like, oh, what was said here is classified. Mainly confidential. So there's different levels of security. Confidential is very low, and then secret is the next step, and then top secret is another, and then I think there's another one on top of that one, maybe. So out of the 110 emails, some of them had classified material. Now, this means somebody sent her. This doesn't mean that she wrote or forwarded. That means that somebody had sent her something that had classified material. Like, it's a possibility. I think there were some numbers about how much originated from her, but most of these 110 emails that had classified materials were emails that she had received. That means some other fucker fucked up. Not her. Regardless, yes, there was some classified materials out of 30,110. Even if there were 1,000, they were just like one lines or paragraphs in entire emails. that had material. There was nothing, there was no big stamp on the header that said top secret, classified. There was nothing like that. So she had no way of knowing. And the only way that they were able, somebody had to go through those emails and read them all and be aware of what was classified at that time and what wasn't, in order to find out. There was no intention. There was no I need some more fat in my life. I can't think of words. Negligence with regards of secrets to the United States. There was none of that. Out of that 110 emails, based on what I read, out of the 110 emails, 3 of them were actually called, or actually marked on the header with a C, meaning classified. Investigator, what's his face, said that could have been missed. Who knows that a C actually means classified? Instead of saying classified, why not just say fucking classified, but mark it with a C? And that was very easy to miss. And so we're talking 30,000 emails. 3 of them had been intentionally marked with a C. James Comey, I think, even admitted it's possible that she didn't know what that meant. A C. 3. Anyways, this is taking a lot longer than I had hoped. The third reason I want to talk about why I hate Hillary Clinton is not originated from what everybody has relayed to me. Like, oh, Benghazi, oh, email servers. The other reason is that I thought she was fake. She seemed fake. She didn't seem genuine in her other appearances, in previous appearances, previous to Howard Stern. One in particular, the whole Breakfast Club, where she said she had hot sauce in her purse, blah, blah, blah. Like, who told her? Somebody told her to do that. And this is where Howard caught on, or Howard kind of expressed exactly how I feel, or clarified. Somebody is advising her to do this. Somebody is advising her to try and be funny. Somebody is advising her to try and be, I don't know, hip or street, or use slang, or be humorous, or go on Saturday Night Live. She is none of these. Somebody has given her bad advice, and maybe Hillary Clinton isn't a good politician because she is bad at being fake. She's bad at putting on her front. This is her only sin, I believe, is being, when in regards to being fake, is being bad at being fake. It was so, to me, it seemed so obvious. The things that she said, the things that she didn't feel genuine. It was her politicking and not doing a good job at it. And that's no reason to to hate somebody. And this, have you heard of Hanoi Jane? Right, obviously it's Jane Fonda, but we call her Hanoi Jane. All right, service members, Americans, conservatives, patriots, we call her Hanoi Jane, and we hate her because of what she did in Vietnam. But do you know what she did in Vietnam? What she did may have not been like, and she regrets compared to what the rumor was. Why we hate Hanoi Jane is because she met with POWs and they passed notes to her, and she, in return, handed those notes over to the POWs' captors. Treasonous. Jane Fonda is a bitch for that. That's false. That's not what she did. Like, for years, and if you talk to my uncle, he hates Jane Fonda, and he will say that is why, because what she did in Vietnam. I had to like look at like what is the real story, like why do we hate Jane Fonda, and I looked it up years ago, and it was because of that, and then I continued to believe that. Like, I didn't even know why I hated Jane Fonda. I had to look up why I hate Jane Fonda, and then turns out that story that she betrayed U.S. POWs in Hanoi was completely false. Now, what did she do? She went to North Vietnam and did a tour or whatever. The thing that really pissed people off is she took pictures sitting in an anti-aircraft gun. In essentially she sat in a weapon that could have been used to shoot down U.S. airplanes, service members, pilots, etc., etc. She regrets that. Funny thing is that I saw a whole thing on TV about her, interviewing her. Like, she regrets ever doing that. But the point is, like, you want to hate her for taking pictures in an anti-aircraft gun in Vietnam, go ahead. But I think the reason most people hate her is because of what she did, the treason she committed by turning over these notes from the POW camp, which is completely false. Which, the whole reason I bring up Hanoi Jane is because we have been fooled and lied to for years and years and years, for decades, about a woman. And how many of us still believe this? But how many of us still believe these things that are complete made up bullshit? And now with this day and age, like, we hated Hanoi Jane for 50 fucking years, and that's before the internet. Now we're supposed to hate Hillary Clinton, and we have Fox News, and we have social media, and we have people posting shit. This should bring the point of what. It should bring everything to full circle of what Russia did and how easy they can influence us, because all they have to do is post something that's a complete fabrication, and we will believe it. We will believe it, and that's fucked up. Hillary Clinton is a hell of a person. I apologize to you, Madam Secretary, for hating you. I was wrong. Folks, I'm burning up, and I'm done. I don't like to load. I like to keep my podcast around 20 minutes, and here I am creeping on 32. I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know what you think. I am really putting myself out there for saying that I was wrong to hate Hillary Clinton. I know there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of backlash. But we make mistakes, and we have to admit to them. This is one I feel I have to admit to. I'm sorry if that. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm entitled to my opinion, and so are you. All right. So, anyways, I appreciate you tuning in. You find me on Twitter at David E. Soto Jr. JR for Junior. Find me on Instagram at David E. Soto Jr. If you're interested in helping me send my son to college or something, or even buying groceries, you can hit me up on Amazon. Check out my books. If anything strikes your interest, feel free to purchase. David Soto Jr. on Amazon, Twitter, and Instagram. All right, folks. Thank you.